Hey everyone, David Morris here. I am the publisher for Lake Drive Books, where we publish books that help you heal, grow, and discover. And I am delighted to be joined today by R. Scott Okamoto. Hey Scott, how you doing?
Hey, great. No one ever says the R when they're talking to me. That's awkward. Just my parents kind of screwed up the naming of me and never called me
Yeah.
R Robin. So
Okay, but you put it on the
yeah.
front of your book to talk
Well, because
about that.
it looks cool.
Oh, okay,
Is
yeah.
it sounds literary, doesn't it? Like
It does. It
when
does.
when you have an initial for your first name, like F. Scott
Yeah.
Fitzgerald or something,
Yeah.
that's some
My middle
gravitas.
initial is R, so I should use the R too. Probably it's a good middle initial, a good initial.
Yeah, I think any strong consonant works. Yeah.
Well, you are the author, soon to be. We're recording this about a month before the on sale date, on the April 18th on sale date of your book, Asian American Apostate, uh, Losing Religion and Finding Myself. And no, I'm going to screw it up now. You have it right there. You read it to me.
No, you got it. Losing religion and finding myself at an evangelical university.
There you
So
go. And you have a nice mock-up of the cover.
it's a prop, but
You're
yeah, it gives
taking
you the
some
idea.
photos, and you just told me a minute ago that's a Bart Ehrman book, actually.
Yeah, yeah. I figured it would be better. I was gonna use an actual Bible because the kind of looks like a Bible, but I
Yeah.
couldn't find a normal sized Bible. That's how deconstructed I am. I found my grandma's huge ass like Bible that weighs like 10 pounds with a picture of white Jesus on the front. So
Yeah.
that didn't look right. So this look, it's about the right size, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks good. Well, the real thing will be in your hands soon. It'll be very exciting.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of getting used to this one, so I don't know. Yeah.
Well, all right. I'm trying something new with these author interviews. And I'd like to just start off with a couple icebreaker questions for you. Just so
Okay.
I'd like to know the answers to some of these questions.
Hmm.
And I think it'll help. I think it'll help others learn about R. Scott Okamoto.
Okay.
um, so here, just answer these really quickly, and we'll go through them fast.
Okay.
Here's an easy one. You're a guitar player. What kind of guitar do you play?
Well, I play lots. My original electric guitar was a reissue 62 reissue Stratocaster made in Japan, which I still love. But I've lately been playing a Gretsch Electromatic
Nice.
semi-hollow body
Wow.
as my main axe. I have a knockoff Telly by G&L, which I like, and I have a really nice Shure boutique guitar that was kind of gifted, but
Yeah.
mostly I've been playing the Gretsch.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Next one. Who is your favorite band of all time?
Oof. I would have to say Rush,
There you go.
just because it's like five bands. First of all, the different eras and different styles, the
Nice.
devotion to meaningful lyrics and the musicianship of their playing was always a priority. So the band geek in me really
Yeah.
really likes them.
Yeah.
Close second would be Van Halen, U2, Police. Um,
Nice.
so those are like the top tier.
Yeah.
But yeah.
We missed out on going to like arena concerts together in the 80s, I think. We would have enjoyed some of the same
Yeah.
places.
Well, we were probably in some of the same shows, right? Like
The Police, I
uh
saw them at a big arena
oh hey.
way back when. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. All right. What do you need to do when you need to get away from it all?
Oh, I go fishing.
There you go.
I've been a fly fisher for the last 30 years. And yeah, I just like going up to the mountains. Someplace quiet.
Yeah.
Stand in a river or stream.
Yeah.
And just yeah, everything kind of disappears.
I know this about you already, but do you go by yourself or you usually bring people with you?
Usually bring people. I do once in a while go by myself.
Nice.
There's a river about 4 hours from here. It's about as good as we can get. Um, in the town of Bishop, California. So I can drive up there. I can even do it in one day if I'm really motivated, but I might spend the night and just fish all day and come home.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
You should come. You are in Southern California. We didn't say that yet. You're in
Hmm.
Pasadena, right? Yeah.
Yep. No fishing here.
I'm in Grand Rapids, Michigan. There's a lot of good lakes and
I
streams here.
know.
You
I've
should come.
seen. Yeah.
I'm game. I could be a good fishing buddy. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really just need to like hold the rod and drink some beer and
Yeah,
tell tall tales. It's like that's what we do.
definitely. Okay, last question. This is gonna be a harder one though.
Oh no. Okay. Is it
Um,
math?
no, no, no. It's gonna be a hard one because it's gonna be hard for you to choose. Who
Oh.
is your favorite? I'm gonna single out. I'm gonna single you out here a little bit. Who is your favorite Asian American actor?
Oh, that is a hard one.
Yeah, see,
Okay.
because you know some, and if you choose, one of them's
I
gonna
know
know
someone's gonna
now.
be mad. Uh oh. I gotta go with Tamlin Tomita,
Nice.
the OG. Huge crush when I was like 13 when or 14 when Karate Kid 2 came out. And she's a friend now, so it's always a little strange. I have to push back that 13-year-old kid.
Wow, that's
But
cool.
she's prolific. She shows up in all kinds of TV shows and movies. And yeah, so I and the reason I pick her is not just the age and the crush, but because her face being on the screen was like inspiration for a whole generation of Asian Americans that we could be creative and
There you
we
go.
could deviate from the typical go to college or do whatever you have to do. It was a face that we could see in the
Awesome.
media that
Yeah.
wasn't always there. Yeah.
So perfect segue, I guess, to Asian American Apostate. So your book is both a memoir of that tells about what goes on at evangelical colleges and your experience being a freshman writing seminar professor
Yeah.
for quite a
Yeah.
few years.
Yeah.
But it's also a very personal journey of faith and identity for you. How tell us how you would describe that based on what I just said. How would you say it better?
Oh, I don't know if I'd say it better, but uh yeah, it's a lot of things and I meant it to be a memoir about teaching. And it started out as just me just complaining, writing a journal about how awful it was.
Oh,
And
right.
well, every time I heard a fellow professor say something wild or a student just say something awful, I would write it down, word for word that day usually. And I just kept files, and I was I'm gonna write a book someday. And I wanted it when it came to write a book and working with you, I wanted it to also be a part of the whole deconstruction conversation that's happening
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
everywhere, online mostly. But I also wanted it to be kind of an entry in the ethnic studies, Asian American studies genre, where I looked at I really self-analyzed myself as an Asian American Gen Xer, trying to fit into evangelical culture and succeeding by and large. I was a worship leader, I was a Bible study leader, but the farther I got away from it, the more I realized how awful it was and how many compromises I had to make as a Japanese American to fit in and to have that success. And so, yeah, just all those things. It should have been probably 3 books, but I figured it's all tied together. So I tried to keep it tight, keep it short, succinct, and tell the story of it. Just all happened to coincide with me rising in the ranks at this school.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of like the golden boy of the English department for a while, and then
You were a well-loved teacher there.
yeah, I had really great evaluations from students. They kept getting promoted and given more classes and responsibilities until the social justice stuff and the LGBTQIA stuff caught up with me, and the knew about me. The whole administration knew about me, and thus began my decline and eventual kind of firing. It's complicated. It's in the book It's in the
Yeah.
book.
Yeah.
Spoiler. Yeah.
I
Mm.
wonder if that's not very different from a lot of people who are in some kind of leadership role at an evangelical institution of whatever kind it might be. At first, you know, they're like, you're great, you're well accepted, you thrive as a human being, your personality
Yeah.
fits in. But then especially perhaps once you start becoming imbued with more responsibility or well liked by a lot of people, then then you have to kind of keep hiding behind a facade, and you can't once you start revealing more of who you are, then the problems start to happen.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It was advantageous for me to be Asian American at first because we're usually kind of invisible. And the assumption is we're good, we're like that model minority myth crap. Um, and so as long as I smiled and had good student evaluations, the school was thrilled because it gave them, you know, a glimmer of diversity, which they really didn't have. Um, but once it came out that I was, progressive minded, um,
Yeah.
it was that was it. They were like,
Yeah.
no.
Now let me ask kind of a tough question. I'm your publisher, so I can do that, right? Um,
Yeah, you're the boss, so you can ask whatever.
why, let's see, why do you think you wound up teaching at an evangelical college when you had already started asking questions and had moved along in your journey and maybe even had become fully agnostic, perhaps, if we're going to put labels on things?
Yeah.
Um, why did you take that step and start working for an evangelical college? Let's call it EVU here. How do you
Okay.
like?
Yeah. EVU. I think I already said a name before, but yeah, it's fine.
That's okay.
I call it EVU in the book because this could be any evangelical school, which we talk about on Chapel Probation. They all have the same problems. Okay, so to answer your question, I was still identifying as an evangelical when I applied for and got hired as an
Mm,
adjunct. I was definitely questioning and I was definitely having problems with the whole thing, but I was still it was all timing because if it had been like 2 years later, I probably wouldn't have applied. So I was like 28 and just wanting teaching experience. So
yeah.
I knew how to speak evangelicalese. I was still fluent and they hired me right on the spot. And I was thrilled at first because it's an experience. I didn't think I would stay. That's the funny thing. I was really hoping to get hired at one of the local community colleges because the pay was like double what they were paying at EVU. But I got along better with community college students. So your question's a good one. I asked myself that a lot during
Yeah.
the 15 years. Why in the hell am I here? It's not worth the aggravation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they just kept promoting me, as I said, and I found success and I found the kinds of students that responded well to my class were great kids who were really thoughtful and really you know they were Christian, but they were still asking the same questions that I had been asking, and I saw a lot of myself in them. So I had
Mhm.
as much trouble as I was always in, and I was because there were always a handful of students that just hated me, thought I was the most evil person that they'd ever met. Um, it
Wow.
was that handful that sort of built up over time and got the attention of the administration. But I would say 95% of my students and I got along great. And so I really felt like to use Christian terms, it was like a mission field to
Yeah.
help Christians be caring and be loving and to
Yeah.
interrogate their faith and figure out what the Bible really says.
One of your chapters is training Jedis in a Sith academy. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. The Star Wars fans will get that. I feel like a lot of people will be like,
Yeah.
what is that?
Yeah.
Is this a cult?
Well, you were an advocate for students. You advocated for Asian American students that were there. You became involved in kind of a secret LGBTQ plus community.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and that's all some really cool stuff in the book. You also talk in the book about some of the strident evangelical kids who some would just be dismissive and they wouldn't be interested in conversation, but some actually engaged with you in argumentation and so on. And you develop this, this kind of respect, mutual respect. Do I have that right?
You do, yeah. For any, like you said, there most of the hardcore conservatives, like I used to call them the Fox conservatives, but now there's probably other channels. But yeah, they were just a lost cause. They were just gonna sit there with their arms folded and frown at me for an entire semester and then write bad things about me. But I always tried to let them know that I would come to the table in good faith and let's talk. Let's share our thoughts. Let's share our lives. And so the ones that took me up on it were always the smartest ones, because they're like, yeah, because they were very confident in their point of view. These were like the intellectual conservatives, and so they're like, yeah, bring it, liberal prof. And and so I would, and we would talk, usually outside of class, but sometimes in class, because I didn't want to make class like a big political debate.
Yeah.
It happened, but
Yeah.
yeah, by and large, it happened online or out, while we're having coffee or just sitting between classes. And the opportunity to forge relationship with people who, today that's so rare. We don't have a lot of dialogue, discourse between the polar opposites of
Yeah.
progressive and conservative. But I saw it could happen. And, as long as they respected me and I was respectful of them, we would have great conversations. And we didn't always agree. We didn't always come to like a consensus or anything, but
Yeah.
we talked and we listened and we heard each other. And so that paved ways for a lot of really great things to happen,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
some of which are in the book. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and right there is a great argument for higher education, for pluralistic, liberal arts, humanities based education. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it still exists anymore because of the polarization. But
Yeah.
it's possible, and that's
Yeah.
what I hope the book conveys is it's possible to have liberal arts,
Yeah.
even in a Christian setting.
Yeah.
The administration would not agree with the way I approach it, obviously,
Yeah.
but
Right.
there's
And
a
you,
couple
and yeah.
generations of students who, to this day, will send me messages thanking me for the conversations that we had.
You have some very powerful stories in the book about that. Like even a conservative kid standing up and defending you and saying, "You guys, this is the best teacher we've got here." And yeah,
Yeah,
that was really quite a
yeah,
moment. I don't want to spoil it all, but it's really
yeah.
dramatic to read.
It's it, and you can see that I did a storytelling night at a comedy club, and I told that story, and it's on my website, so people can
Oh, there you go.
see me tell the story if they want.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Well,
it's also in the book.
I like to keep these interviews short. And there's going to be plenty for people to find out about you in podcasts and other ways of learning about you over time. But before we wrap up, tell me, what is it that you're hoping a reader gets out of the book when they've read the last page and they've really like they've felt something. What do you hope that they feel?
I hope they feel hopeful that I mean, I think my audience is mostly people who are either on their way out or are out of faith or of evangelical faith. And the thing I see most discussed online in the various Facebook groups and like Twitter communities is the loss of community and how to replace that and the loss of
Right.
identity. And I know people don't like to use the word reconstruction because it's rife with, some religious trauma, but I
Right.
think there is a need for you to figure out who you are and find a context in which you can flourish,
Mm.
whatever that is outside of church. And so I didn't mean to include all of the community stuff and hanging out with rock stars and things like that. That was not. I didn't think of that until the very end, where I thought, well, it's extreme, but it's an example of finding people that um that enrich your life, that reflect your values, and with whom you can build relationships and communities to make a change in the world, that's something to live for. It's not just, well, I lost this faith and woe is me, because we all go through that if we leave evangelicalism. But you have to figure out how to build something. And
Yeah.
I figured I could tell my story because I feel really happy with what we have built together in our communities. And the other thing is, I think because there's so few Asian American voices out there, depending on a person's point of view, they're going to respond to this book as an angry book with lots of F words. Or if you see me as a fully human person, will more skew toward seeing the book as a hopeful kind of instructional tale. So it's interesting. I'll be interested to see, because I get this all the time. Several people can listen to me talk or read something I write and have completely different
Yeah.
interpretations, or they come away with something totally different. And they're not, and I'm not saying I'm not an angry person that uses the F word a lot. I cop to that. It's fine. But there's more to it than that. And so it's kind of like a litmus test for society. If you read this book, what are you coming away with? Or what are you hearing? Are you hearing this out of control angry person, or are you hearing someone that's
Mm.
really
Mm.
deeply thinking about where I've been and where I've ended up for right now?
Wow.
So yeah, that's just that simple stuff.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great. I'm gonna leave it at that. How do people find you online, Scott? Talk about your podcast for a second too.
Sure. Chapel Probation will be starting its third season, I think, around the time the book comes out. As if I don't have enough stuff to do, but I really wanted to. There's all these people that have in the queue.
And
Um,
you interview people from some colleges like EVU and others.
yes, yeah, it's people telling their stories of experiencing and surviving Christian culture, Christian universities.
Hmm.
And then just some people I have on that just respond to what they're hearing, who maybe didn't know about it, or so I try to get all the perspectives. Um, so yeah, and I have a website, rscottokamoto.com, and there's a page on the Lake Drive Books website.
There you
Very,
go.
very nice looking page with some very nice words about me in the
All
book.
well deserved.
So
Well, wishing you the best on this book launch. It's going to be fun together. I'm so glad to be working with you on it.
yeah, no, thank you, David. It's been an honor and a privilege to work with you on this. So thanks.